This demonstration will show you how to use the Create Library step to create a SharePoint library automatically within a K2 Process instance. You can use this workflow step in any business process that requires creating a library within a site collection in your SharePoint environment. It's also a very helpful workflow step to use if you have automated governance or administration models applied to your SharePoint architecture. To show this, let's take a look at a workflow that demonstrates this capability. Here I have a SharePoint list called Projects Site Requests that will handle requests to create new SharePoint sites for projects within an organization. I've already set up the basics for this workflow to create a project-based SharePoint site upon adding an item to the list. Once the site is created, I want to make sure a document library is created to hold financial documents specific to the project for organizational purposes. We can use the Create Library workflow step to accomplish this task. When I drag and drop this step on the design canvas, the first window that appears will be called Specify Properties. This window allows you to configure the new library and pick the site collection where you would like it to live. In this example, I only have one site collection available, so I'll leave it set to the main portal collection. If you have a subsite in this site collection where you want this new library to be created, you can enter the relative URL for it here, either by hard-coding the name or using any of the fields available that may contain this value from the context browser. I want this library to be created within the newly created SharePoint site in the earlier Create Site step, so I'll populate the relative URL setting based on the path of the site collection and the new site using a combination of text and a field from the context browser site reference. Keep in mind you can use the context browser fields in the name, description, template, and create library reference text boxes as well. For this demo, I'll be hard-coding these values. So from here, I'll fill in the title for this library as Project Financials. Next, I'll put some information in the description field. Now let's take a look at the template options. The templates selected here must be available in the site where you want to create this library, or the workflow will halt with an error if it can't find the template. You can select from the available list here on the form, or click on the button at the left side of the drop-down control and enter a value in as text, or drag a field from the context browser. Moving on, you also get options to control the library's display on the Quick Launch menu, allow for folder creation, and also enable versioning options. Hide Library will hide the library's URL links from view in a user's browser if enabled. If this is enabled, users must know the direct URL link to the library if they want to get to it. As such, you must disable the Display on Quick Launch option in order to set the Hide Library option. Create Library Reference makes property values for this new library available later on in the workflow under Item References in the context browser. I'll enable this and give it a name since I want to use the title property this provides in a future email step that notifies the originator that the site is ready. So we have one last option at the bottom of the window. If the library you want to create is found to already exist in your designated SharePoint site, put a check in this box to use the existing library on site if found, if you foresee this occurring in your process. For this demo, I'll uncheck it because the list won't exist in the new site at this point. On a technical note, be sure that the K2 Service account has permission to create the library in the desired site collection for this wizard. So now I'll finish this up and quickly show you the notification email message that utilizes the library reference created by the Create Library wizard. Notice the library reference that we created in the wizard appears under the item reference in the context browser. You can grab values from this throughout the workflow where you need them. In this case, I'm just dropping the title field in the body of the message to show how it works. So from here, I'll finish up and deploy the workflow, and then we can look at an example of it in action. I have this workflow set up to run when an item is added to my project site request list. I'll fill in the fields with information about a site I want to have created. Okay, so from here I'll save the record and the workflow will kick off and create the site and library under the projects area I set up for this demo. So now let's switch over to my Outlook client and we can see the notification that comes in when the client site is created. You can see the body of the message shows the title from the library reference I created in the workflow wizard. So now let's click the link and check out the new site library. You can see that the Create Site wizard set up a project site called ATM Upgrade. Take note that the Project Financials document library was created as well. So let's briefly double check and make sure the versioning settings were configured properly. Here we can see that the versioning was enabled for this library, and also notice it's displaying a link on the Quick Launch menu. We would like to thank you for watching this demo on how to use the Create Library wizard. We hope you have a better understanding of how and when you can use this workflow step within processes used by your organization.